Weapons, gadgets, guns, whatever you call them, they are usually a major part in most video games. This is a list that I have created to show my top 5 favorite weapons in video games. Note that this list does not include any power-ups because I do not consider them to be weapons. Let's start off this list with number 5. In Batman Arkham City, you are given massive amounts of gadgets and weapons to use. You could use a freeze grenade that will freeze an entire group of enemies, a bat claw that will pull enemies closer to you, allowing you to smash them to the ground, or even an electric shock that will send enemies flying in the other direction. But out of all those weapons, one of the best and most useful is the classic Batarang. One of the things that makes the Batarang so good is the amount of uses for it. Like heck, you could even remotely control a Batarang and send enemies flying off the building. Another thing that makes this weapon amazing is you have an unlimited amount of Batarangs to throw. No, I'm dead serious. I mean, look at these thugs. They can't even get near me because they're being spammed with Batarangs. You even have a Batarang that curves and it hits his enemy from its back, kind of like a boomerang. The best way to use a Batarang is when you're in combat. Basically, in the middle of a combo, you will quickly spring up in the air and throw Batarangs at anyone who is on the ground, and it will knock them unconscious. I always use this almost twice every time I'm in a combat. With all these different types of Batarangs, it earns a well-deserved number 5 spot on my list. Just by the sound of that music, you know what I'm talking about. The hammer from Super Smash Bros. Is one of the most deadliest weapons on the battlefield. And before I talk about why the hammer is awesome, I just want to say that I'm talking about the hammer in all Super Smash Bros. Games, and I'm also including the golden hammer. Even the slightest tap of the hammer will send your foes flying in the other direction. In fact, this weapon was so good that in Super Smash Bros. Melee, it got nerfed, so now the top of your hammer might fall off, leaving you completely defenseless for about 10 seconds. Also, this hammer was so powerful that Nintendo decided to give it its own theme music, which you just heard at the start. I mean, what other weapon can you think of that has its own theme music? You know the weapon must be good if it has its own theme. The hammer, originating from Donkey Kong Arcade in 1981, will always be one of the best weapons of mass destruction. Halo 3, one of my favorite games of all time with an amazing online mode that has me playing for hours on end. The Halo universe is home to some of the most unique and most creative weapons that I have ever seen in video games, not to mention powerful. The gravity hammer allows you in one quick, powerful swing to send your foes soaring through the air. Yes, people may argue that the energy sword is better because of its lunge, but the gravity hammer has the same range to its lunge, plus it adds splash damage. No one, and I mean no one, can stand up to the hammer. Even a big brute with full armor will still get thrown around, or a jackal whose shield is pointing right at you will still get launched in the air. Look at this hammer just blast straight through its shield in a fraction of a second. When using this weapon, watch as your enemies run in fear as you slaughter millions by the second. Well, maybe not 1 million per second, but you get the idea. This weapon rocks. The first thing that anyone thinks of when they hear the name Star Wars is the lightsaber. Or maybe that. What more needs to be said about the lightsaber? It can cut through walls, chop up droids, or even block lasers. This weapon can do anything. The gravity gun from Half-Life 2 is for sure the best weapon in video games. If running out of ammo is your problem, well, with the gravity gun, everything is your ammo, so you don't need to worry about that. If you want a weapon with splash damage, then just pick up an explosive barrel and launch it at your enemies. This gun is one of the most unique guns I have ever seen in a video game. This gun uses a simple game mechanic, yet it is so effective because no one has ever seen anything like this ever before. That is why I believe this is the best weapon in video games. Well, that wraps up my first top 5 list, and tell me if you like this kind of video. I'll do more top 10s in the future. If you want to make your own list, tell me in a comment or leave a video response below. See you guys later, I'm out.